Goodness. Oh, we are live. There we go. What's up, guys? A little bit of a weird start today because we are short-staffed. So we got me behind the screens, also in front of the camera. But thanks for joining us for another Stage 10 live broadcast. And today we are showing our sweet dock. So you might have seen it online. It's on our webpage now. It's featured. It was insanely popular last year, where we sold out in May and we ran out of dock. So a lot of folks are asking about it before summer. Unfortunately, we couldn't provide the dock for most of the summer because it sold out so fast. We just weren't ready for it. And so now it's for sale as a pre-order. We're going to be shipping these things in January, but because they were so popular, we're releasing them for a pre-order. And you can order them right in the store. So you'll see right on your device, whether it's mobile or if you're watching on your computer or whatever it is, desktop, you'll see the dock is featured and it's on a pre-sale price. So normally we sell these things for about $1,600. The pre-sale price is $11.99. And in this show, only in this show, we're giving an extra 15% off. The promo code is called Dock Special. But you don't have to go to the website to buy them. You can buy them right in this broadcast. So you just check out down below. You can click the shop. The dock will come up and it'll automatically apply the discount code if you purchase right within this broadcast. The dock is really sweet. It's 9.5 feet by 6'4" wide. Comes with a ladder. There's an optional umbrella, which we will talk about a little bit later. But I just want to talk about how awesome this dock is to have it out on the water. And you may have been part of our broadcast this summer. We actually did a broadcast in August from the dock. So we actually had 2 of these set up where we had all of our production equipment, computers, Starlink, satellite internet, and the camera and everything set up on one dock. And then you might have seen Mandy and I standing on another dock where we were giving some stuff away. So it was a pretty cool broadcast to do, and it was literally in the middle of nowhere. So super cool.
Yeah, you have Teresa who asked you how does it weigh the dock, and Andrew asked you if you are wearing the Vessi boots.
I am wearing Vessi boots.
The weight of the dock.
The weight of the dock with the ladder, and if you get the optional umbrella, it doesn't come with the umbrella. It's about 60 pounds. It rolls up into a little bag, which I can actually go and grab. I'll grab that in a little bit. But the whole thing rolls up into a bag, and you can carry it kind of like a hockey bag. It's a little bit big, but I don't have a problem carrying it myself. Some people, maybe it takes 2 people, depending on where you are. If it's on like your roof rack or something like that, it's a little bit heavy to get overhead. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty awesome. What we typically do when we go for like a family time out at the beach or something like that, we get our dock going with our battery pump, and we'll start inflating it. It takes a little while to inflate this thing. It's not that fun to do manually, so we usually use the battery pump. And while the dock is getting inflated, we set up our other stuff like our chairs or whatever. But yeah, there's a ton of room on here. There's room for typically about 4 adults, or like, I don't know, we've had 10 kids on this thing before, and the ladder is retractable. It goes right down into the water about 4 feet. So we'll typically paddle this thing out so the water's a little bit deep so the kids can jump off and have a good time. We throw an anchor on it. It attaches to any of these handles you'll see on the side. I think you can see these ones up here. So there's 2 handles on each side. And then we'll just wrap an anchor around there, chuck her in the water, and they'll stay there all day. And the kids can just swim around, play around. They climb up the ladder and off and jump off and have a really good time. Meanwhile, the adults, you can see I have a couple chairs here. You just sit down like this. You get your umbrella behind you. It's not set up totally right now because it's a little bit big, and I don't want to hit my head on it while I'm trying to talk to everybody. And you soak up the sun. You let your kids jump off. I got my paddle boards here, sort of attached to the dock. So if I want to go for a little cruise, I can. And then this is sort of like a really awesome home base. So that's the dock. And like I said, it's 15% off during this broadcast only. So I got you guys for about 30 minutes. And once this broadcast is over, we won't be giving the extra 15% off, but it's already marked down like $500 for our regular price because it's a pre-sale.
You have Andrew who asked you, can you put an umbrella on the dock?
Can I put an umbrella on the dock? Yep. This is the umbrella that I'm talking about back here. I'll show you how it works. This one's been fairly well used, but it comes in 2 pieces. So it actually, you can pack it away like this when you aren't using your dock. And there's 4 locations, 1 on each corner, where there's like a threaded connection, and it's a little bit difficult to see on camera, I think. But I'll show you with this one here. On the bottom of the umbrella, there's sort of a bolt that's permanently attached. And then you screw it in here. And this is just because sometimes you get the jerks on the wave runners that try and rip by real close for some reason. And so a little bit of waves, the dock is quite big. So when it starts to bump out a little bit, it kind of makes the umbrella go back and forth. And so if it wasn't bolted, I'd be worried that it's going to fall off. Then you just push this out, tighten that, and that's your base for your umbrella. And then this up top. See if I can do this without knocking myself out. There we go. And now there's not going to be room to open this because the board's in the store. But that's it. You open that up as much as you want, and then you can sit out, you have some nice shade, and you have a pretty rad little hangout on the water.
We have lots of questions of Andrew. He asked you, can it be a colorful one? And also, if you weigh 257 pounds and have the dog, will the dog float?
Will the dock float
Yeah.
if you weigh 257 pounds?
Yeah.
That's it's a really exact number. Yeah, you can have about 1,000 pounds on this dock, and that's just based on having 4 adults and 2 kids on here. I've never actually put 1,000 pounds on here, but I weigh 225 pounds, and it supports me no problem. The dock is 8 inches thick. The volume of this dock is about the same as 3 of our paddle boards. So there's tons of flotation here. You don't have to worry about buoyancy too much. And actually, if you have more people on here, we like to bring paddles, even if we're not paddleboarding, because then you can paddle around. On the bottom of the dock, you can't really see, obviously, but there's 2 fin boxes. So it comes with a couple fins, which, you know, a dock doesn't really track well if you compare it to paddleboarding, but having a couple fins in there and then a person on each side paddling, you can actually get going on this thing pretty good. So if you take it to a lake or something like that and you want to hang out on the dock on the other side of the lake where it's a little less crowded, a little bit of elbow grease and you can get there no problem. Looks like there's another question. Yeah. I can tell in Laura's face. Laura's behind the camera today. We don't have Annabelle, our normal production person, and Mandy is also out of town. So that's why you're just stuck with me today.
Yeah. So we have Megdak, does the palm tree come with the dock? The palm tree.
Does the palm tree come with a dock?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I have a feeling I know the people who are asking these questions. The palm tree doesn't come with the dock. The palm trees are here because when we did our show from the dock, we did a vote. Do the palm trees need to be in every show? And it was overwhelmingly yes. So there's only 2 palm trees today. The third one's over here, but it needs a little bit of a trim. It's getting a little bit brown and kind of gross. So that's the dock. For those of you who might be just joining us today, in today's broadcast, we are featuring our Agora Dock, and this dock is a pre-sale. It's shipping in January. Normally we sell it for $1,600, $1,599, something like that. But we have it on pre-sale pricing for $1,199. And in this show, if you buy during the broadcast, it will automatically discount an additional 15%, which brings it to just above $1,000 Canadian. So it's a pretty rad deal. Last year we sold out every dock. I think we shipped the last one May 27th. So it wasn't even summer yet, and we were totally sold out. So we're putting them on pre-sale this year. So make sure you check out the dock if you want to have something like this for your lake life, or even honestly on the ocean on calm days. We'll take it out. Now's the time to get it because it's not going to be marked down any more than this. And then once they are in stock, I imagine they will sell out this spring as they typically do.
Andrew asks you, can you down the river? What about up the river? Do you need a paddle?
The paddle makes it easier to maneuver your dock if you're trying to get it somewhere. I wouldn't take it down a river. You can if you want to, but you don't really have a whole lot of control. So if you want to take it down the river, I mean, that's up to you. It's really at your own risk. But for us, we just like to anchor it somewhere and it's stationary, and then we let our kids play on it. That's really what we made it for. The other thing that's cool about this dock and also our kayak seats, a lot of folks use the kayak seats for paddleboards. If you want to sit on the dock and hang out and just dip your toes in the water, but have somewhere you can chill out, I have a kayak seat attached here, so you can attach the kayak seat and just kind of hang out off the edge of the dock. It's hard to see on camera, but that's what this is right here. So this one's pre-attached. You'd only really need the two outside clips. You don't need to clip these back ones because you're not going to have a whole lot of movement. It's really just for hanging out. But if you do want a nice place to sit while your feet are in the water, maybe it's a hot day and you're getting a little bit warm, you just clip the two clips in, and there's D-rings here, there, at the back, and on the back at the sides. And then you just kind of sit here, and then imagine my feet in the water, probably a non-alcoholic drink, for sure, non-alcoholic, in my hand while I'm sitting here having a great time, or just fishing is another thing we like to do off the dock. And then the last thing I didn't really show, this is the ladder that comes with it. The ladder is detachable. There's two bolts that mount it right here. And just to kind of show you that it retracts. So this is how long the ladder is, and this is what would go in the water. But when you're not using the ladder, it retracts, and then it just clips like there. So if you are paddling with the dock and you want to get it a little bit further from shore, it's a good idea to fully retract it. And then there's a clip on here that kind of holds it in place. And then when you're done, just push it out and it will retract into the water. I think that's it. I think that's it about the dock. If you have any more questions about the dock, just hit up the comment section. Laura's looking at me again. Andrew, what's up, man?
Does it get heavier when you add air? Could you put helium on it?
What? I can't see the comments on the screen that I'm looking at, but Laura's laughing and trying to tell me what the question is at the same time.
And can you put a motor, like an electric trolling motor?
Yes, you can. In fact, our idea with having two fin boxes was to put two electric fins on it, and then you can kind of, if you're familiar with how like a skid steer or like a bobcat tractor works, it's like two levers, both go forward, both go backwards, and then you kind of alternate to make it turn. It would be the same idea if you had an electric fin. You make the fin on the left go so that you turn right, and vice versa, or both of them to go forward, both of them to go backwards. Always seemed like a fun idea. We honestly have not gotten to the point where we try it yet because electric fins are actually really expensive. But, a guy can dream. But yes, you can put an electric motor on it if you wanted to, or if you wanted to just have like a regular trolling motor like you see where the motor sits up top and then has a little shaft with the prop down on the bottom. You can do that. There's not really any great spots to mount it if you wanted to do that. So you would have to rig something up maybe where the ladder is to give that a try. But, so yes, the dock is on sale with pre-order pricing already in effect on our website, but it's also an extra 15% off. Laura's got another question for me. Andrew, what's up, man? Maybe send us an email if you want after this with all your questions. It's no problem.
Can you put a tent on it? A tent. Possibly, if you want to go for camping.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. You can put whatever you want on here. You could probably park your car on here. We have driven over a lot of our paddleboards. What else? What else you got, Andrew? Send some more questions.
It's okay, just for us to say like Andrew needs to join the show. And Andrew said like may need a place to the live.
Next time before we go live, Andrew, hit us up with your email address. We'll send you a link, and then we can get you in the live stream at the same time. The other thing I want to talk about today, though, that's enough about the dock for now, unless anybody has any more questions, especially Andrew. If you got some more questions, let us know. We have our fall 35 sale on right now, which we went live with last week. It's 35% off all of our ULF boards, which is really just an insane deal. So most of our ULF boards are around $1,200 normally. Additional 35% off. So if you were to look at our website, you'll see the price, and it already shows it a little bit reduced. For example, the Carta Marina ULF, I believe, shows it's about 16% off. That 35% off is in addition to that. So where the ULF boards are like less than $900, which is the lowest price we ever will have them at. So if you are interested in getting into one of our inflatable paddle boards, now is really one of the best times, because for us in Canada, lakes are starting to freeze, it's starting to snow in the mountains. So not as many people are paddleboarding. And so now it's really a great time to pick up a board before they're gone. So the ULF boards, the designs on them, we won't be using these artists again. So again, very limited prints, and we won't be like the Mark Anthony Jacobson board, for example. It's our Carta Marina ULF. It's a 12-foot touring board. It's my favorite piece. It's the board that I still ride, and I've been riding it ever since we came out with that board. We're not going to have this board next year, so we're selling them for 35% off. And I can hear my son in the background having a tough time. But if you have any questions about our boards, our ULF boards, let us know. A lot of people ask what the difference is between our ULF boards and our CX boards. So we make two different kinds of boards. Ultralight Fusion is what ULF stands for. CX stands for cross weave. And we make a Carta Marina and we make a Carta Marina ULF and a Carta Marina CX, for example. We make an Elemental Wave ULF and CX. And we also make the Medusa and the Infinite Mantra. So they're all similar shapes, and they all have similar performance on the water from the ULF to the CX. The difference is the drop stitch material that we use to make them. So the ULF boards, they have what's called linear woven drop stitch. That means the strings that attach the top layer to the bottom layer go straight up and down like that. And the CX drop stitch, it's a woven drop stitch, but the strings, rather than going up and down, they crisscross like this. And the difference that makes with the CX boards, by crisscrossing, it makes the board more rigid, like on a lateral plane, but using a lot less material. So the CX boards are 20% lighter. They're a small amount more rigid, and actually most paddlers probably wouldn't notice, but the real big difference is they're 20% lighter. So if you are paddling in a place like White Rock, where we are, the intertidal zone is 500 meters at low tide. 500 meters long, so 500 yards for our American friends there. So if you're carrying your board from the beach all the way to the water as the tide changes, sometimes carrying that board that far is a real pain in the butt. And so losing 4 or 5 pounds actually makes a really huge difference. And if you're on the more adventurous side, like we like to go to alpine lakes, which means you have to hike. And it's not always easy getting a board to some of these lakes. And so if you can have a board that weighs 5 pounds lighter, it makes a huge difference, especially if your lake is like 10 kilometers away. Garibaldi Lake, for example, is one of my favorites that I like to paddleboard at. But it's a 20-kilometer round trip. So if you bring a paddleboard up there that's really heavy, good luck to your quads, but they are going to get destroyed. And if you have a CX board that's a little bit lighter, it's a much easier hike. Does anybody have any questions about our boards or about our dock?
Yeah, so one more from Andrew. Could you use it for toboggan in winter and the dock in the summer?
The dock?
Jen asks you, can you dock your boat to this dock for your yoga?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you dock your boat to this dock for yoga?
You can. I mean, you can use the dock for yoga, but it doesn't have you see some yoga classes where they do in swimming pools and stuff like that, where the dock that they use has sort of the cutout shapes for boards to park right into. That's not what this is. This is just a rectangle, but it has multiple tie-off points. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 D-rings plus the handles on the side. So you can definitely tie out boards up to it. And if you were a yoga instructor teaching SUP yoga, this is a perfect platform where you could have all the boards sort of nose in all the way around. You tie them off from portage handle on the board to the handle on the side. And then you could do all your yoga poses from the dock. And it's a lot easier to instruct as well. So you're not trying to paddle around and like manage a group, especially if there's a small amount of current, depending on what the tide is doing. Maybe you're in the ocean and not in a pool or in a still lake. But if you have a main anchor system with your dock and all of the boards attached to it, it's much easier to instruct a course and manage a group. So yeah, it's very great for that. Tobogganing, not something I would do because there's fin boxes on it. They're going to get clogged up with snow. However, we have had, like throughout our design process, we get a lot of samples. And we do have some samples that don't have tie downs, EVA pads or fin boxes or anything. And if you have a totally blank PVC board, they go down the snow like a missile. And it's a lot of fun, except it's impossible to control. So you spin out quite a bit. And if there's other people on the hill, they are in grave danger when you start ripping, because I'm pretty sure you go about Mach 4 on like a standard hill with no fin box on your board. But it's going to destroy the bottom of your board. So, you just have to deal with that. For anybody who's just joining us today, in this episode of Sea Gods Live with Stage 10, we are featuring our Agora Dock. So our Agora Dock, it's 9.5 feet by 6.5 feet. It's 8 inches thick, and it comes with a ladder. It's a really awesome platform to hang out on the water, play with the kids. You get it out deep enough so they can jump off and have a good time. The dock sold out last year before summer, and so right now we have it on a pre-sale price. Normally they retail for $15.99. They are on sale for $11.99, but in this broadcast only, we are giving an additional 15% off. So you don't have to go to our website and check it out. You can check it out right in the broadcast, and then you can buy it actually right through the broadcast. So if you're on your mobile device, right on the bottom, it'll say shop. You pull up that menu and you can see all of our products. You can add them to your cart right in the broadcast and then check out the discount code, which is going to expire at the end of the show, which is at 4:30, less than 10 minutes. It will automatically be applied at checkout. If you feel like you want to purchase not through the broadcast, Dock Special is the discount code you can enter on our website to purchase the dock for an additional 15% off. So that makes the price just a little bit over $1,000 Canadian. And also, we have our ULF boards on sale for 35% off. It's the biggest sale we've ever had for our ULF boards. A lot of people ask us, should I wait till Black Friday because maybe I'll get a better deal? You won't. 35% off is the biggest deal we'll ever have on our ULF boards because it's pretty much our cost, and we still have to ship them. So all of our ULF boards, that's the Infinite Mantra, the Carter Marina ULF, the Elemental Wave ULF, the Diatom ULF, and the Kados ULF, and also the ASR Kids board. A lot of people forget that we sell a kids board. This board has been getting so popular though. A lot of folks coming back who already have a Sea Gods board, picking up the ASR board because they get tired of paddleboarding around with their kids on there. So you can check out 35% off, just like the dock. The code is fall35, but also if you buy through this broadcast, it will automatically apply.
You have Marilu who asked you, do the CX board pack smaller than the ULF?
The CX board does not pack smaller, and in fact, it comes with a better pump. Well, that's sort of a subjective opinion. The CX board comes with a 2-chamber, 3-stage pump, and I've got one around here somewhere. I'm just going to grab it. It's right back here. So these are the 2 pumps. This 2-chamber pump, this is what comes with the CX boards. This is the pump that comes with the ULF board. The difference, obviously there's 2 chambers. So with this pump, there's a little selector switch on the back. And it's probably hard to see. I'll see if I can bring it up to the camera here. There's a little selector switch. It says 1, 2, 3. So that's on 1, that's 2, that's 3. And so when you have this thing, when it's the selector switch on 1, it inflates from both chambers on the way up and on the way down. So you get a lot more volume. So when there's no pressure in the board, it fills up gets the initial volume up there in your board much faster. When I shift it to 2, now it doesn't inflate at all on the way up and only inflates on the way down through both chambers. And so that's when you get up to around 5 PSI, it starts getting tough to pull up. And so you switch it to 2, and you can still get quite a bit of volume until you get that pressure up to around 10 PSI. And when you get to around 10 PSI, you can switch it to 3, and now it only inflates on the way down from one single chamber, so you don't have as much back pressure on the handles, makes it a lot easier to finish the inflation. And typically the sweet spot for most paddlers is between 14 and 18 PSI. The max PSI on all of our boards is 20 PSI. And so when you have this selector switch to 3 and you're only using one chamber, it's pretty easy to get it up to around 18 PSI or 20 if you want a really rigid board. This pump, which comes with the ULF boards, it is 2 stages, so only one chamber. And to switch stages, there's a little plug in here that you pull out. And so same idea, when you're trying to get your initial volume into your board, you keep this little red plug in and then it inflates on the way up and it inflates on the way down. And with only one chamber, that can usually get you to around 8 or 10 PSI. And then when it starts to get a little bit difficult, you pull this red plug out and then it only inflates on the way down. So it's easy to pull up, it's not hard on your shoulders, and then you can inflate on the way down. And same as what I said before, the sweet spot, 14 to 18 PSI for most paddlers, 20 PSI if you really want a rigid board. If I'm downwinding on the Kados, 20 PSI no matter what. But if I'm just going for a leisurely little paddle, honestly, I'll just get lazy and sometimes I just stop at 15 PSI because it's enough. And I'm 225 pounds. So don't have a problem with that.
You have 3 minutes. And
3 minutes.
Andrew asked you, when does the fun part of the broadcast start?
When does the what?
The fun part.
The fun part.
The funny part, yeah.
The funny part? It's been a funny part this entire time, Andrew, because your questions have been so great and kept me very occupied and helped keep it going. The other last thing to talk about, and Woodrow is going to come up here. Come on, buddy. Come on, you can come on. You want to be on the camera? No, he doesn't want to come out here. You might have been wondering what this is here right on the corner. It's our electric pump. If you do pick up the dock, it does come with the fins. It comes with the ladder. It comes with a pump. But it just comes with a manual pump. And filling this dock with a manual pump takes forever. So I highly recommend the electric pump. That's what I have here. It's what I used to fill it up today. The dock, our recommended pressure is between 5 and 7 PSI. That typically does, hey, stop whatever you're doing over there. Sorry, my son is off to the side playing around with an extremely expensive painting that is going to be one of our new boards next year, but we'll show that at another date. Yes, the electric pump. If if you don't want to work your butt off pumping manually for 30 minutes, the electric pump is a really awesome addition to the dock, because then you can just plug it in, set it to 7 or 10 PSI, whatever you want. I got this one at 10 PSI right now, and then you can set up the rest of your beach stuff. Last question.
Yeah. Why does it have fins, the dock?
The dock has fins because sometimes it's nice to paddle a little bit further away from the shore. So there's actually a couple reasons. One, paddling this thing is really tough. If you don't have fins in it and you paddle on one side, it literally just spins in a circle. If you have a really great scull stroke, and you can Google what scull stroke is, I think we have a blog talking about it as well. You can paddle from the front to pull yourself forward, but you don't get very far very fast. The best way is with a paddler on each side. But putting the fins in, even if you have a paddler on each side, having the fins in just makes it go a lot straighter. So it's easier to get away from the shore. But the real reason why we have 2 fin boxes is because my dream is to someday buy a couple of electric fins, put one in each fin box, and then I can use those to drive it like a boat. But it just never happened because, like a Bixby electric fin, for example, is about $2,000. So Not something I've invested in yet, but it's something I always think about. Does anybody else have any questions before we run out of time? No more questions. Okay, I think that's it. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Remember, the dock is on pre-sale. It sold out last year. It's on for 15% off in this show only. So after I sign off here in about 30 seconds, you'll see our card come up where you can still check out and use the code. And that will stay up for about 5 minutes. And then after that, that deal's done. The docks are already marked down on pre-sale. So if you see them on our website, or if you are visiting our American website, you sign up for our email newsletter and you get your own personalized code. So that still applies to buying the dock if you wish. Otherwise, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for all the questions today. It's always fun to answer everybody's questions. Make sure you follow us on the Shop app if you are watching this on Facebook or if you're watching this on YouTube Live. It really is a better experience if you watch it through the Shop app because then you get a lot more of the functionality. We don't get all of the comments that come up from YouTube or from Facebook, especially today because we're short-staffed a little bit. So if you left a comment on Facebook and we didn't answer it, I apologize. We'll check them out after the show because we don't get the comments live as I'm watching the screen. And I think that's it for today. Thanks again for joining. Hopefully we see you guys next time.